Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Hi, I'm Speeder. Okay, welcome back to another video on Keeper the Movies. I haven't filmed one of these kinds of videos in a little while. I've been doing a lot of Dragon Prince review videos over the past little bit, but I am back with a Marvel MCU review video. I think it's been like several months since I've made one of these, actually. The last one I made was Guardians of the Galaxy review, and I've done every single one prior to that, plus that. So today, we are on the next one on the list that I have now watched several times. And it's not my favorite, but it's not my least favorite either. And that is Avengers Age of Ultron, the second out of the 4 Avengers movies. It is my least favorite of the Avengers movies, but I still really like it. To an extent. There's some parts of it that I strongly dislike. So, this video will contain spoilers for Avengers Age of Ultron. I will try to avoid spoilers for movies and Disney Plus shows in the future, as well as previous ones that I've done reviews on. Can't promise everything that I've done before to be spoiler free, but it should be for the most part. So, if you haven't seen one of these review videos before, basically what I do is I will go through 9 different categories, which I have ranked from 1 to 5. So that means the lowest score that one of these movies can get, which none of them have gotten, by the way, is a 9 out of 45. And the highest you can get is one that has also never been given before, a 45 out of 45. Some of them have gotten close, such as both of the Captain America movies that I've done so far. I think are the ones that have gotten the closest to a perfect score, but nothing has gotten a perfect score. And I'm not sure if anything ever will, but there's potential. I think the closest one has ever gotten was... let's see. And I don't have record in this notebook of my first few. I think it was like my first 2 reviews. It looks like the closest one has gotten is a 39 out of 45. Doesn't look like anything's broken the 40 mark thus far, but yeah. Looks like my highest score that I've given one of these movies so far in Phase 1 and to this point in Phase 2 is a 39 out of 45. Sorry. Yeah. So, let's get into it. The 9 categories that I will cover are the story, action, team dynamic, since this is an Avengers movie. Normally, in just a normal movie, would be the main character. The villain, character arcs or character developments, humor, yes moments, which basically means like moments that gave me chills aside from death scenes. Next is death scenes, which if a movie does not have a death scene, I will give it an automatic 5 out of 5 on this. Because I don't want to give it anything else, because that's just unfair, because it has no... I have in the past not done that. I probably should change that, but I don't know. I may change that for the final ranking when I rank all of these together. And then the last category is side characters. So for this example, it'd be people that aren't a part of the main team. So in this movie, again, spoilers, the main team I count as Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk, and Scarlet Witch. Plus Vision. I'm not going to count Quicksilver or Pietro or however you say it this time, but yeah, just because of what happens to him at the end of the movie, I'm just gonna count him as a side character because he's not a main character in the MCU after this point, unless you count, like, flashback things or certain weird things that happen. Yeah, so he's not a main character in the MCU. Whereas these ones kind of are. So, you have the 6 original Avengers, and then Vision and Wanda. I'm not counting Falcon and War Machine because they're not in the movie enough for me to count that. They're only there in, like, the final battle and, like, the party near the beginning. So I'm not really going to count them, even though they technically are kind of main characters in the MCU, especially Sam, Falcon. I'm not going to count them as main characters for this particular movie, and especially not Rhodey. Rhodey's only really a main character in the Iron Man movies. So yeah. Anyways, let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to start with story, which I gave a 3 out of 5 on this one, which isn't a bad score, it's just in the middle. The story wasn't bad, and it certainly sets up a lot of things. It's a great setup movie. However, the movie itself, again, it just kind of feels like a lot of setup, just like most of Phase 1 was. Um, actually, most of the MCU is set up for future MCU movies, but it didn't feel like it had too much of its own story, but I'm going to give it props for being a really great setup. And it does have some of its own story, plus it introduces some of my favorite characters, Vision and Wanda. But the one thing, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I would give it a 4 out of 5, but there's one thing in this movie that bothers the heck out of me. Every single time I watch this movie, this part of the story just makes me cringe. And if you haven't guessed it already, it's the Natasha and Bruce story. I don't ship them at all, and it is the worst ship in the MCU, and they have, like, little to no chemistry. Plus, Bruce looks like he's, like, way older than her. And I also don't like Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner or Hulk. When I first watched The Avengers, even though they made it very clear who, and yes, spoilers for the Avengers movie, they made it very clear who Natasha was going to get. But I didn't pick up on it. I mean, maybe I did a little bit, but when she got there and I saw Mark Ruffalo instead of Edward Norton, because I had watched The Incredible Hulk before that, and Edward Norton plays Bruce Banner and Hulk in that movie. But I didn't recognize who he was. I didn't even recognize the subtle hinting. The only the first time that I realized who this person was, because they're so different, and I much preferred Edward Norton, even though I hate The Incredible Hulk as a movie. I just, I didn't realize that he was Hulk until he turned into the Hulk. Which is embarrassing, but yeah, I didn't even pick up on the, I'm a huge fan of how you turn into a gigantic, huge rage monster, right? That whole thing. I didn't even pick up on any of the hints about who this was. I didn't even pick up on the fact that people were calling him Banner because they're so different. And now I know when I go back that that's who that is. But I really wish that Edward Norton was Bruce Banner for the rest of the MCU. And I'm so sorry to anyone who's a big fan of Mark Ruffalo. I'm sure he's a great actor. I just don't like him as Bruce Banner. Like, I'm sorry, but no. But that's just my personal opinion. You can have your own different opinions. This whole review is just my opinion. If you have your own opinions, that's fine. Have those opinions. That's great. Yeah. But anyways, I don't ship them at all. And that was an obnoxiously large part of the story. And so I have to lower down the score. Plus, the pacing of it was also a little weird. It wasn't smooth exactly. I did like some parts of the story, like I said. I like the setup. I like Ultron trying to do things. I like the pacing of. I like the scene where Ultron is released into the net and the whole "there are no strings on me" thing. I found that kind of creepy, and I like that. And I like some parts of the story. And again, I like the fact that this sets up some bigger things, especially like the end credit scene, or I guess mid credit scene. I don't know. With Thanos in the Infinity Gauntlet, saying, "Fine, I'll do it myself." I like those parts, but there's not a ton of substance for the story in this one. And I guess we also get a reveal that Hawkeye has a family, but it just, yeah. I also don't like Hawkeye very much, even after watching Hawkeye. Yeah, he's remains to be my least favorite of the original Avengers. So I am so sorry if, yeah, I don't like most of the male Avengers. I'm just gonna say it. I like Thor after the first Thor movie. I like Thor. And I kind of like Cap. But Tony is not good until later. He's like very arrogant and kind of annoying. Sure, you have his humor and everything, but he doesn't really become a good character until like Civil War. But I won't go more into that because I said no spoilers. I'll try to avoid spoilers for stuff later on. Try my best. It's a little bit difficult with this one in the story. But anyways, I'm gonna move on. Yeah, story 3 out of 5. Okay, action. I wanted to give this one better props for action, but I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, just like I gave story. Just because most of the action in this movie, just like in the original Avengers movie, and most of the Avengers movies, is just basically them fighting robots or aliens, just like a giant faceless army. And it just gives them things to hit and cool and everything. But I really like the close quarters fights that people have. And there wasn't really any of those in here, except for like the beginning action sequence. There wasn't really a lot of good fight scenes in this movie. I have to give great props to Captain America the Winter Soldier for great one-on-one fight scenes. I love those. I love the action in that movie, but just the faceless battles, just all of these people that we know and love going up against these faceless creatures, robots, aliens, whatever. It just becomes less exciting, and I just prefer the more intense, like personalized combat scenes. They're really good. I'm not as huge of a fan of the gigantic battles. Uh, Unless they're epic enough, then I like them. I do kind of like the end battle because it is decently epic, but I think that the final battle for Avengers is better than this one. So yeah, action, it gets a mid score because I do like the action that there is, and I think that the CGI improved since the original Avengers movie, but yeah, it's all right. Now we go to team dynamic, which I give a 4 to 5. So the Avengers in this movie, are almost to their peak level. They never are truly a team that has like gone through everything. I mean, they become a team because they're motivated. They're motivated by a single thing. And sure, they're a team, but I don't know. Their dynamic it doesn't hit quite home until a little later. But it comes really close in this movie. I like the friendship between Thor and Cap, and that's all great. I love those two and their humor, banter stuff in this movie. Even Tony adding in there. And so I like those dynamics. I do not like the dynamic between Natasha and Bruce. But that's just my thing. Um, yeah. And Hawkeye, he was just kind of there. To be honest, he was just kind of there. Nothing much more I can say about him. Anyways, yeah, they have some good banter moments, and I like that. I love the running joke of language and all that, but yeah. So, anyways, moving on to villain. I give the villain for this movie a 4 to 5. Not my favorite villain, but I think that he is a decent villain. Um, he has humor, which I like, and I know some people hate on Ultron because he's too light and he's too like he makes too many jokes. But again, he was made by Tony Stark. So what can you expect? He's gonna be arrogant and he's going to make jokes. He's gonna have quips. It's just in his nature because he was made by Tony Stark. And I don't think he's a terrible villain. I mean, he's not the best villain, and he doesn't have as much personality as like Loki. But or Killmonger. Who are like two of my favorite villains. But yeah, he's all right. He's not a bad villain. And he's not a perfect villain either. But I like him. I like him as a villain, and I think that he is one of the highlights of this film. Is Ultron himself being a pretty decent villain in my opinion. And he does deal some significant damage to the team. So yeah. Next we have character development or character arcs, which I am going to give this one a 5 out of 5 on character development, which I don't think is something that I've given before. Have I? Yeah, 4 to 5. Oh no, I have before. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Any more that have gotten that? Not looking like it. Some have gotten close, but I think that Captain America: The Winter Soldier is probably the only other one that has gotten a 5 out of 5 on character arcs. That's what it's looking like. Yeah, you have the whole Wanda and Pietro just completely doing a U-turn in their loyalties, which is great, and I love Wanda. You have Tony building in his character development, even though it doesn't come to full fruition in this movie. It's a big setup for his big moments later on. You have more information on Natasha and Cap and Thor and their fears and things like that, which is some great character development, and I like that. And there was some great character development in this movie, and I really liked the character development that we got for the most part. I mean, it wasn't perfect, nothing's perfect, but I think it's almost as good as you get. There was a lot of character development in this movie, and I like that. Plus, at the end, we can see that there will be more Avengers, right? Which is also great. Alright, on to humor, which is, along with villain and character development, was this film's other strong suits. I give it a 5 out of 5. This movie is very funny to me. I don't know why. The villain has plenty of good quips, and that's great. And we also have, of course, the running joke with language, which I will laugh at every time. And there's just a lot of good humor in this film, and I like it. The whole scene with trying to lift Thor's hammer, which also has some foreshadowing in it, it's all great. I love the humor in this movie, and it's I think the funniest of the Avengers movies. So yeah, on to yes moments. This one is one of the film's down points. There are about 4 of the downer points in this movie, and this is one of them. I give it another 3 out of 5, just like I gave story and action. It's not bad. Um, there weren't a lot of them, and I like a large quantity of moments that give me chills that aren't death scenes. But I can give you two that did give me chills, potentially three. The beginning battle is the one that's maybe gave me a little bit of chills at the moment, when it's like a slow motion, all 6 Avengers in slow motion frame. The next one is Vision's birth. So when Thor brought Vision to life, that did give me some chills every time I watch it. And then the third one, which is the true yes moment for me in this movie, was when Wanda steps out of the building and declares herself an Avenger. So there are about 3 of them, and they weren't the best ones I've seen, but it wasn't bad. So again, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. Okay, death scenes. I don't really care about quantity of death scenes, because a lot of them, it doesn't really matter. Okay, what matters is quality of how much did this death scene make me cry. And this one, yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5 on death scenes. There's one, potentially 2, if you count Ultron a 3. But the big one is Pietro Maximoff's death, where he sacrifices himself for Hawkeye and the child. Yay. And he gets shot to death, and it doesn't fully make sense to me, because he could have just moved Hawkeye out of the way. He could have still been shot, but the way it happened didn't 100% make sense. So that's the part that kind of takes away from it, or else I would have given it a perfect score. But I did cry at this death scene, even my 4th time watching it this time, because I've seen it once my first time, once in my rewatch of the MCU, once with my sister, and once now. And I did still have tears come to my eyes just a little bit. My eyes watered a bit. Even though I did, in fact, see it coming. Even though Pietro said that I did not. Sorry, I had to cough. Okay, so the final category here is side characters, which I'm going to give a 3 out of 5. There aren't a lot of side characters in this film. Like I said, the ones that I'm counting as main characters or the main team is Iron Man, Cap, Thor, Black Widow, Bruce Banner, and Hawkeye. Plus Scarlet Witch or Wanda and Vision. So side characters, the big ones, and I'm not counting villain as a side character. So the side characters that I count as side characters that I will count towards this, I think it's Maria Hill, or it might be Mariah Hill. I am so sorry, I don't remember for some reason. I'm for some reason blanking here. Nick Fury, Clint's wife, Laura. I'm not sure which one it is. Laura. I don't know. And Helen Cho, I believe is how you say it. I'm not 100% certain there. I think that's it for the bigger side characters. I mean, we do have some other appearances of characters, such as Thor's good friend, who I'm for some reason spacing on the name of again. And I mean, there might have been a couple others, but those are the 4 ones that I will allow to be the big ones that really contribute to this. So the ones that Helen Cho, oh yeah, and Pietro. That's the other one, Pietro Maximoff. So Helen Cho and Pietro both died too quickly. I think Helen Cho died. I'm not sure, but they died way too quickly to become fantastic side characters. But they were good for what they had, especially Pietro. Whereas Laura, not a good side character in my opinion. I think that she's the thing that drags down the side characters. But of course, as usual, I love Mariah, I'm not sure, Hill, Agent Hill, I love her, and of course I love Nick Fury. So most of the side characters in this film either died too quickly or were uninteresting, and there were like 2 really good ones. So yeah, so in total, this movie scored a 34 out of 45, which isn't the worst one we've got. I think the worst one is that I've given a score to is The Incredible Hulk so far. So this one wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. It was just kind of in the middle, which is exactly how I would describe this film as mid. It's just in the middle. It's not fantastic and it's not terrible either. So, yeah, I think it about deserves a score like this. Because nothing really gets, unless something's like truly terrible, it doesn't really get anything under 20 out of 45. I think there was one. I think The Incredible Hulk got like a 19 or something, which is very bad because that's only 10 over the minimum amount you can get. Yeah. But 34, anywhere between like 29 and like 35 is just in the middle. Anywhere like from like 9 to 28 is, anywhere from like 20 to 28 is like, it could be a lot better, but it could be worse. Anywhere from 9 to 19 is like, this is really bad. And then, of course, anywhere above like 35 is, this was good. Well, 35 to 40 is like, this was good. 40 to 45 is like, this was fantastic. This is the best thing in the MCU. I love this. I can imagine there will be a few that will get somewhere in there, but nothing so far. Which surprises me because I've done a review of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and I love that movie. But anyways, this was my review of Avengers Age of Ultron. I hope you guys enjoyed. Next time I should do a review of Ant-Man, and then I will, so the next 4 weeks, I'll just give you an update really quick. Ant-Man should be next week, and then an Encanto review should be the week after that, an Encanto song ranking, and then the Dragon Prince Season 3, Episode 1 should be after that, and so on. So, yeah, I'll probably give you an update of the next 4 weeks in every other video or so. I'm not sure. But that's the next 4 weeks after here. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you didn't, let me know. If you did, let me know. I've done a couple scripted videos before. Let me know if you like those better, or the partially scripted ones like the ones I do here. I've never done a fully improvised one for a Marvel review, and I don't ever intend to, because I don't want to have that much information stocked in my head and not anything written on paper. But let me know if you prefer the scripted version or the partially scripted version. Just let me know. Yeah, so that is all I have for today. I will see you guys next time. Bye.